So the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has returned from the United Kingdom, Windsor precisely. He had honored King Charles's visit, and on that visit, they signed some historic, groundbreaking contracts, according to the UK government, actually. They called it historic, groundbreaking contract. And I ask, what is the need for Nigeria? They went, they enjoyed themselves, they had some royal horse drives. The president of Nigeria, his wife, the Senate president, the national security advisor, his ministers, and some governors. And they were happy that the president spoke about 2, 3 Nigerian words in Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. And they were excited about the banters around jollof rice. And for me, that's quite interesting because that's what Nigerians love to see, particularly when people like that tend to pick interest in Nigeria affairs or the things we hold here. And that's smart of them. But I believe, or I think, we ought to have been a lot more smarter to note that anyone who wants something from us probably knows where to actually hold us, probably on our balls or the things we hold here. There are 2 books I've read. One is by John Perkins. It's called The Confessions of the Economic Hitman. And in that book, he talked about Noriega and how they were able to disrupt other developing countries' economies using economic hitmans, the HMs, how they use institutions like the World Bank, the IMF, and the loans. And in one of those chapters, he talked about how it's easy for them to actually give loans and grants to developing nations because they don't negotiate the terms of contracts, they don't negotiate anything. They're always willing to sign off and get the money fast without looking at the fine prints. But that is not the same with Asia, countries like Japan, China, and sometimes India, where they could tell you that we have XYZ technical aspects that we can handle on our own and we don't need you to come in or give monies. I know you're going to ask about the nexus between what I'm to say and the narration here. And I've also read another book by Joshua Agbo. It's called Why Africa Has Continued to Underdevelop Africa, The Forgotten Truth in History. And in that book, he talked about a whole lot, governance, politics, administrations, and how African leaders have kept Africa where it is. And in that book, I also read recommendations. I'm talking about the first episode because he has an enlarged version of the book now. And some of the recommendations on that book, particularly from Joseph Stiglitz, the former IMF boss. And one of the recommendations came out strongly saying that it's only nations that have rejected some of these offers, loans, and have learned the art and skills of negotiation that are developing today. And let's get back to the main issues and see where these will connect. So we went to the United Kingdom, had beautiful meals, we were serenaded, we had all kinds of things. And you know we love to go with our shebees and so-called class, but we were unable to look at the deals. So the president met with Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, who probably left the president to walk that distance to meet him on the door of 10 Downing Street. And they signed agreement around £746 million to refurbish 2 ports. These 2 ports are Tinkan and Apapa. And what are they going to do? Largely, is on the quay walls of the ports, 2 ports. Nigeria is over 240 million people. The United Kingdom has over 120 ports. 10 major ports contributing about $5 trillion to the economy of the United Kingdom. But Nigeria has over 240 million people is operating 2 ports, all located in Lagos. And I ask, 1.4 trillion naira, when you convert that money, is what Lagos can generate to fix these 2 ports. Why do we need a loan to get these ports going? And here is another catch in this whole event. That same port I speak about is being financed by the UK government, so it's not like a grant. And we are buying steel of over 120,000 tons from the United Kingdom. That means about £70 million from that money will go to the UK government. And over £240 million again will go back into the UK economy. And they are happy. They call it a groundbreaking historic contract. They have never had it this good anywhere else beyond what Nigeria is offering them. What this means is that the UK government is going to be richer, it's going to be creating jobs, they are going to be having more opportunities, and we are poorer. Nigeria operates 2 ports when we have Port Harcourt, we have Delta, we have River Niger, we have River Benue, and all around we have all these ports, even in Calabar. Why are we operating just 2 ports, servicing the entire nation that has over 240 million people? Why do we need to take loan? Money we would have used to finance what we would have financed ourselves. We are killing our steel industry. Ajokuta can never come alive because of what we see. Itakpe and other steel mills can also operate. They are happy because we are the ones who are not gaining here. When you go to the UK website, they said, and I read, record-breaking order for British Steel as UK and Nigeria sign landmark £746 million deal. UK Export Finance announces support for UK exporters to supply high-value projects in Nigeria. Major vote of confidence in UK manufacturing as UK Export Finance guarantees $746,902 million to fund the development of two of Nigeria's major trading ports. A record-breaking £70 million, $95 million contract for British Steel is a result of at least $236 million of the overall deal being invested into British companies. This is coming from their website, it's not coming from me. A memorandum of understanding will also be signed today between the UK and Nigeria to explore and develop future trade and investment opportunities. Thousands of skilled UK jobs will be supported and hundreds of millions invested into the economy as historic financing deal is signed today, Thursday, 19th March, between the UK and Nigeria. The £746 million sum will be used to support the refurbishment of two of Nigeria's major national maritime infrastructural facilities located in Lagos. The Lagos Port Complex, Apapa Quays, and the Tinkan Port Complex. It will be delivered through the UKF's Buyer Credit Facility, coordinated and arranged by Citibank NA London branch. The agreement between the UK Export Finance, the UK Government Export Credit Agency, and the Nigerian Port Authority and the Federal Ministry of Finance will deliver significant benefits for British businesses, with at least £236 million of supplier contracts directed to British companies. Where does this leave Nigerian companies? The British Steel will supply 120 tons of steel billets to construction companies High-Tech Nigeria and ITB Nigeria for the port deal, amounting to a £70 million contract that represents British Steel's largest export order backed by UKF. It allows from the government's newly announced steel strategy, which seeks to revitalize the steel sector of the United Kingdom. So where does that leave Nigeria's steel sector? It comes as the Prime Minister welcomes Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to Downing Street today, with the leaders discussing shared priorities to strengthen the UK-Nigeria strategic partnership. Hot on the heels of our landmark steel strategy, this is a major win for British Steel, made possible by UK Export Finance, which is a statement to the quality of UK-made steel and the booming UK-Nigeria relationship. Through our new strategy, we are backing British steel makers for long-term success at home and abroad. And this contract will reinforce British Steel world-class expertise while supporting jobs and growth in Scunthorpe. It's a long text, but we hear clearly from them, from the British website, about the benefits, the sum that gets back to the British government for a loan we are taking, and we could not negotiate the terms to favor Nigeria. This comes back to the book I talked about earlier, The Economic Hitman and Joseph Stiglitz. We don't negotiate anything, and that's why the kind of leadership Nigeria gets is what some of these countries want. They want a leader that is not smart enough to negotiate any terms of contracts for Nigerians. And that's why we continue to struggle this way. This should have been a land-breaking big project for Nigeria. If we're expanding our ports beyond Lagos, because the two ports in Lagos economy alone can fix those two ports. The major job there is the quay walls. And the quay walls is what is taking £746 million. That's like 1.4 trillion. What can be raised in Lagos in less than a year? We developed the British steel companies while Ajokuta and our steel businesses are suffering. Is this not what Senator Natasha Akpoti has been fighting against? Is this not one of the reasons why they fight Senator Natasha Akpoti all the time? You wonder why you see the Senate President go to the United Kingdom and getting celebrated the way he's currently being celebrated? You wonder why we have no jobs? All around the world, the countries are struggling to take over Africa's economy. Every country is looking at its own benefit, including the United Arab Emirates, including the Chinese. Africa is the new bride, but Africa does not see within herself the opportunities that others see in Africa. Our leaders are so short-sighted that they go for the quick wins. And these are no quick wins. They want the money. They want the infrastructures to be seen to be working. But I don't think Tinubu is making smart decisions here, if you ask me. These decisions probably would benefit Lagos. And whatever Tinubu is doing here, he just serves his interest and that of his paymasters. We have a trade deficit of over $3 billion with the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom makes over $5 billion from Nigeria annually. We are struggling with over $2 billion. How much of those discussions did we have to up our negotiations to get our products beyond the non-oil exports to balance the trade deficits? We didn't see all those kind of conversations. The United Kingdom gets their plantain, their banana, their fruits from Vietnam, some other places that are like 16 hours flight to get to the United Kingdom. But we can't, just a 6-hour connection from the United Kingdom to Nigeria, we can't supply any fruits. The United Kingdom is not having those kind of negotiations to put money back in our economy, put money back in our pockets and develop our markets. They are rather looking at how to exploit us further. This is a continuation of what we know. Colonialism. If you ask me, this is colonialism 2.1. We've had 2.0 already. And at the end of the day, they are happy. They call it historic, groundbreaking contract. But I ask again, the two British companies that got this contract, what is the bidding process like? Was it transparent? How come no one heard about it? Why is this company, whom when you search about this company, there's absolutely nothing that shows that they have technical expertise or experience, that they've ever done any kind of project like this before? Which means that our project will be the learning project for them. Can we imagine how our president probably may be making a mockery of Nigeria? Nigeria today, when you get to the United Kingdom, you can boast of 0.2% of our products in any UK homes. What are we doing to even up it a little bit? How is the UK government working with Nigeria to do that? Because when you come to Nigeria, you find a lot of British products, even electrical parts. But how much of our products are in the markets there? Household consumable goods. You don't find them. And I was thinking that these kind of negotiations ought to be on the table, not promises. Now Nigeria has signed a deal of £746 million. We now owe Britain that amount. We don't know what the percentage of interest is. We have no details on anything. We don't know the grace period before we begin to pay some of these loans. Now we are piling loans for the next generation unborn to come and pay. And this is the kind of democracy we run. We are still tied to our colonial masters who have never helped us. When I saw those carriage, when I saw the ashwebi, when I saw this glamour, I know it's our anyhowness that is in display. You wonder why Nuhu Ribadu is also there? Make no mistake, that's Tinubu's successor. And I guess he's also learning the ropes. Nigeria must do everything it can to put our country on the path of economic prosperity. But I doubt if this caliber of persons can actually do anything for us. It's a sad one for Nigeria. It's a sad one for democracy. I don't think this deal is a good deal for Nigeria. I don't see Nigeria benefiting from this deal. I see British government expressing joy and happiness that it's a win-win for them. They fooled us again. They are happy that they have gotten what they want to get. The rest is for us to pay gbese. We have always paid gbese. Everyone is coming to Africa. Everyone is coming to Nigeria. But Nigeria and Africa is not re-strategizing and negotiating like other Asian nations do. That Quay wars are wars we could have built. That Quay war agreements could have been a PPP arrangement with even the Dangotes of this world. We did that with Bicotney, the MM2 or so, and somebody else built it. And we're enjoying it today in Lagos. Why couldn't that have happened with the Seaport? That 1.4 trillion naira was only what they needed. Now, we are taking that money, we're going to be paying interest. The interest we don't even know will accrue on it. I don't know what you think about this, but I'd love to read your thoughts on this whole charade, and I'll see you in the next video.